How do the Longhorns pull off the upset against the defending champs? We've got the blueprint on today's show. This is Locked On Longhorns. Intro.
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You are locked on to the Texas Longhorns. I'm your host, BK Brad Kellner, Texas grad, Austin local, and longtime sports radio host here in the Lone Star State. Thank you for making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day every single day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and remember to leave a comment. That's one of the fastest ways to help us grow right here on Locked On, your team every day. We'll dive into some individual matchups that will go a long way into determining who wins this weekend. And I'll also give y'all a couple of offensive line nuggets just 2 days out from kickoff. But first, how about a few keys to a Texas victory at the Shoe? Some of these are pretty obvious. Some of these are a bit more game specific. We'll start with an obvious one. Win the turnover battle. Texas went 13-3 last season. In the 13 wins, the Longhorns turned it over a total of 17 times. That's just over one per game. In the 3 losses, the 2 to Georgia and the Cotton Bowl to Ohio State, the Longhorns turned it over 10 times, more than 3 per game. Again, it's obvious all across football. That's usually how it works. The team that wins the turnover battle has a much better chance of winning the game. Last year's team, proof of how important that margin really is. In January, Ohio State had 1 turnover. Texas had 1 turnover until basically the last play of the game on 4th and goal, down by 7 late in the 4th quarter. You talk about making a difference. Yeah, that second turnover made a difference in Arlington. You can afford a turnover this weekend, and the odds are you probably will have one. New quarterback, a lot of new faces on offense, hostile environment, and oh yeah, their defense is really good. I think you can live with one. Any crooked number, that's where things get a little dicey. Now, Steve Sarkisian has told the media multiple times that 2 of the biggest things that he's been emphasizing during fall camp, ball security and creating takeaways, right? Protect the rock on offense, get the rock back on defense. Feels like Texas should do a pretty good job of generating takeaways, right? You hope that number is crooked. It's an elite defense. You've got a new Ohio State quarterback making his first career start. Obviously, a new play caller there as well. A lot of new faces on that side of the football. Everything sort of shapes up nicely for the Longhorn defense to create a takeaway or 2. And hey, last year, the Longhorns were 2nd in the country in takeaways. They had 31 in 16 games, just about 2 a game. Again, they only had 1 in January. Can they get multiple on defense? Can they protect the ball on offense? That's key number 1. Key number 2, the red zone offense has to be on point. I mean, Coach Sark had jokes in his Monday presser when he was asked about the team's red zone issues from the last 2 years. And I get it. We talked about it on Tuesday. He's annoyed about the question because he's been asked that same question 40 different times since the game in January. And Sark on Monday brought up a stat saying that the Longhorns' touchdown percentage in the red zone actually got better from 2023 to 2024. And he's right. It did. It went from 50 to 64%. Number 1, that's still not good enough. And number 2, there are a few other stats that show that the overall red zone offense actually took a step back last season. I mentioned the other day that Texas's red zone scoring percentage actually went down. So that stat was touchdown percentage. This is the overall scoring percentage, touchdowns and field goals combined. In 2023, Texas was 89th in the country in red zone score percentage at about 80%. Last year, they were 111th in the country at 77%. And again, we all know what happened at the end of the game in January. And again, this is another stat where you look at Texas's 13 wins last year, they had a 67% touchdown rate. In their 3 losses, it dropped to 37.5%. So that's an obvious number that you can look at. When Texas was right last year, they were converting in the red area. When they were wrong, well, they weren't. And you look at their overall red zone possession scores, a lot better in the wins than it was in the losses. So that's number 2. The red zone offense, it's got to be better all season long. But in a game like this where every point is going to matter, I don't think 3 gets it done this weekend. 0 really doesn't get it done this weekend. You got to punch it in. Hopefully having Arch Manning and his dual threat ability can help out there. Hopefully having the 230-pound CJ Baxter back can help out there. Trey Wisner's a little bigger, going into really his second year as a big-time running back for this team. There are reasons to believe it should be better. Now it actually has to be better. Key number 3, contain number 4 and number 88. Everyone's talking about containing Jeremiah Smith, and he's going to be the best player on the field on Saturday, regardless of team, regardless of who's got the ball. I mean, this dude is unbelievable. The Longhorns obviously did a phenomenal job against Jeremiah Smith in the Cotton Bowl. Held him to just 1 catch for 3 yards. His overall season numbers, 76 grabs, 1,315 yards, and 15 touchdowns. Again, against Texas, 1 catch, 3 yards, 0 touchdowns. But the 2 guys who, spent most of their time covering Jeremiah Smith, Jahdae Barron, who's now in the NFL, and Andrew Makuba, who is also now in the NFL. There were some one-on-ones with Barron against Smith, but most of it was, Jahdae Barron on him, and then Andrew Makuba bracketing him over the top. I think Texas's game plan will be pretty similar, right? I don't think Texas is going to leave any of its corners on an island against Jeremiah Smith. I don't know if there's a corner in college football who could handle that matchup one-on-one. So you're going to have 2 guys on pretty much every play paying attention to number 4, but you don't have the Thorpe Award winner and you don't have Andrew Makuba, who, second-round pick by the Philadelphia Eagles. Those guys were legit. And, I still think Texas has a really, really good secondary, but Jeremiah Smith is really freaking good, and he's openly talked about being on a mission to have a much better individual performance this time around. And Ryan Day and Brian Hartline are going to do whatever they can to make sure that Smith can make a much bigger impact this time around. And then number 88 is Max Clare. I don't know if there are enough people nationally, and I don't know if there are enough Longhorn fans talking about Max Clare, the transfer tight end from Purdue, a guy that Texas wanted early on. And look, Texas is happy with Jack Endries. I'm happy with Jack Endries. Jack Endries was the second highest graded tight end who transferred this offseason. Number 1, Max Clare, who's from the area and wanted to stay in Big Ten country. Last year at Purdue, a really bad team, bad offense, bad everything. 51 catches, 685 yards, 4 touchdowns. The tight end is often the quarterback security blanket. Julian's saying new quarterback wants those easier throws, those shorter throws over the middle of the field. 88's a difference maker, and that can't be a guy who has a big day. Again, it's tough. You can't double everybody on Ohio State. Carnell Tate's good. Brandon Indus is good too. But, Max Clare can be a weapon for the Buckeyes. I like Texas's linebackers. I like Texas's safeties. I think they can handle this job, but not letting either of those guys get loose. A big key for the Longhorn defense, I think, trying to slow down the first-time starting quarterback, Julian Sayin. And then speaking of quarterbacks, last but not least, key number 4, Arch Manning needs to be 1 of 11, not 1 of 1. Everyone's talking about Arch. Everyone's been talking about Arch for a long, long time. Everyone knows about the Heisman odds, the odds to be the number 1 overall pick. I mean, I don't have to explain to you guys everything that's been happening with Arch Manning and just the level of expectations that are placed upon QB1 going into this game and going into this year in general. This is a team game. Arch Manning cannot do this alone. I think he's going to be ready to go on Saturday. He needs the other 10 guys around him on offense to be there too. 4 new starters on the offensive line, some new receivers, a new tight end. Those guys need to elevate their game to match what Arch does and also to match just the heat of the moment, right? And for Arch Manning, he's got to trust the other 10 guys around him. This can't be a hero ball type of situation where Arch feels like he has to do everything on his own. And he's got to take off and run every time he drops back because he doesn't trust his receiver to go make a play. Or, he's got to check at the line of scrimmage because he doesn't trust this offensive lineman to pick up this blitzer. Whatever it is, Arch has to trust his teammates, and Arch's teammates need to, again, elevate their games to be ready to go in a hostile environment against an elite defense. Of course, Arch has to be great too. That's the obvious one, but I don't care if Arch is the second coming of Peyton Manning and Eli Manning. I don't care if he's better than those guys combined. You're not going to beat this Ohio State defense in their house 1-on-11. You've got to get contributions from everybody. Arch has to have that mindset, and the team has got to be ready to go. So those are my 4 keys to a Texas victory. Why 4? Well, that's a football number, and we're talking football. So there you go. My 4 biggest keys to a Longhorn upset win at the Horseshoe. Let me know. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? What would you add to that mix as well? Comment below with your thoughts, and would love to see and hear your score predictions as well. All right, we continue to preview this game from every angle. How about 4 one-on-one matchups in this game that could determine who wins? I always talk about one-on-ones in football, but these matchups are going to be pivotal in Saturday's result. We'll dive in next, right here on Locked On Longhorns. Oh, but first, a word for our friends at Upside. Are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code football and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon for your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas that you're already going to buy. It sounds too good to be true, but this is totally legit, and you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal. You can even use it as an e-gift card on Amazon. This is the real deal. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now and use the promo code football for a limited time 25-cent per gallon bonus. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. Oh, and we're also brought to you by our friends at Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. How about more than 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business? Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from having to punt projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Next day delivery. Talk about a game changer. All of the parts you need to get the job done. So easy, so simple to use. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Head over to supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. All right, welcome back to Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. Hey, we put together a survey to learn more about you, our listeners, and to make your favorite podcast even better. Head over to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Okay, some individual matchups within this overall matchup that may determine which team comes out on top this weekend. Now, usually these one-on-one conversations get saved for basketball, but I think it works for football too. So here we go. We'll start with this one. Texas wide receiver Ryan Wingo versus Ohio State cornerback Davison Igbinosun. Ryan Wingo is a prime breakout candidate in his second year on the 40 acres. And I think people in Austin kind of understand how talented this dude is, but the rest of the college football world, probably not. You look at the numbers, they're not as elite as some of the other freshman wide receivers in college football last year. Cough, cough, Jeremiah Smith. This is a chance for Ryan Wingo to take the national world by storm in a matchup that should provide some vertical opportunities. Wingo, in the Cotton Bowl game, just one catch for 16 yards. Igbinosun's an interesting cat. First team all preseason Big Ten. He is really good. He is also really grabby. He was penalized 16 times last year. That was double the mark of any other Power 4 cornerback. Ridiculous. He gets handsy, and that gets him in trouble. That could cause problems with his technique. He had one penalty in the game against Texas. He had 2 in the championship against Notre Dame. Like, how the refs officiate this game is important, because I think Igbinosun's going to be a little grabby. And if they let him get away with that, that's going to limit Ryan Wingo, and that's going to limit the Texas offense. I'm worried with Ohio State being the home team a little bit that they might get a little home cooking. But if Wingo can win that matchup, number one versus number one, could be a really good day for him and a good day for Arch Manning. Another Texas receiver versus Ohio State DB matchup. DeAndre Moore versus Lorenzo Styles. Lorenzo Styles plays the nickel position in the Ohio State defense, and I think he could be the biggest question mark on the Buckeye defense. He's a former wide receiver, transferred in from Notre Dame. He's the brother of Sonny Styles, who's Ohio State's best linebacker. No questions about that dude. But there are some questions about Lorenzo, and some Buckeye fans seem a little bit nervous about him. DeAndre Moore, your starting slot receiver, he has the opportunity to maybe take advantage there. Now, one of the games that Arch Manning started last year, the SEC opener against Mississippi State, Demo had 4 catches, more than 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So the chemistry between those two guys was there. Obviously, they've been working all offseason long to take it to another level. Going up against a new starter could be advantage Texas. And if Styles is struggling, Ohio State might have to switch up their defense a little bit. They might have to move Caleb Downs down from safety, which could help Ohio State in some regards, but obviously could help Texas in some regards with the downfield passing attack. So that's a big one. And on paper, advantage Texas there. Demo, hopefully he has a big day as well. We'll stick with the Texas offense for number 3 here. Trevor Goosby, Texas's left tackle, against Ohio State edge rusher Bo Atkinson. We're going to spend a bit of time next segment talking more about Goosby and the health issue that he's dealing with, but healthy or not, this is a big matchup, and it sure sounds like Trevor Goosby's going to give it a go this weekend. He's the left tackle, protecting Arch Manning's blind side, going into his first year as the starter, but we saw a lot of good from Goosby down the stretch against some of the best opponents that the Longhorns faced in 2024. Big things expected from him this season by me, too. There's going to be a lot of people watching this game and a lot of NFL people watching this game. 26 draft picks from these two rosters alone in the 2025 draft. They're going to be looking for a bunch more next April. Trevor Goosby, one of those guys. What an opportunity for him to put some great tape on film against a really good defense. And then Bo Atkinson is the guy that he's going to be lining up against, I think, a decent amount. 6'6", 258, transferred in from North Carolina, put up some good numbers last year for the Tar Heels. 11.5 TFLs, 7 sacks. Ohio State has a couple of different guys that they might play at that position, but Bo Atkinson, I think, is a future NFL guy who I think is going to thrive at Ohio State in that system. Trevor Goosby's got to be on his game. Again, we'll dive into the hand issue that's bothering him right now. It's going to make it a little tougher for him than usual, but you got to give Arch Manning time to let those downfield routes develop. Obviously, in the run game as well, you've got to win too. And last but not least, one for the Longhorn defense against the Ohio State offense. Colin Simmons against Ohio State right tackle Phillip Daniels. We all know how good Colin Simmons is, right? I mean, he led the Longhorns in sacks last year despite not starting a single game. He was the Sean Alexander Freshman of the Year award. He was just named preseason first-team All-American, and he was preseason first-team All-SEC. I mean, the accolades have been piling on for Colin Simmons, and deservedly so with what we saw him do in his true freshman campaign. Now he's starting. He did all of those things off the bench. Now he's a starter, so his snap numbers are going to go up, and hopefully his production goes up too. Phillip Daniels is a new starter up front for the Buckeyes. He transferred in from Minnesota, only started 3 games for the Gophers last year. He's a redshirt sophomore, didn't play at all 2 years ago, 3 games at Minnesota last year, and he actually, at least it sounds like, he entered fall camp as the backup, but he's put it together over the last 2 to 3 weeks, and now he's projected to get the start at tackle for Ohio State. A big key, not something we talked about in segment 1, but it's obvious. You got to get pressure on Julian Sand. You got to confuse him, and honestly, you got to make his life hell on Saturday. Colin Simmons is the type of guy who's capable of doing that. And again, Ohio State lost both of its tackles to the NFL. I think both of them were first-round picks. Really good players. They're replacing both of those dudes. Test those guys. I think the Longhorns have the best edge room in the country with Simmons and Ethan Burke and Colton Vasek and Brad Spence. And they can blitz all over the place, too, with Anthony Hill and Trey Moore at linebacker. We blitz all night, blitz all day, pressure saying. But if you could get pressure with just 4, That's going to help drop more guys in coverage, cover Jeremiah Smith, contain Max Clare. That would bode really, really well for the Horns' chances to get the job done on Saturday. So there you go. 4 one-on-one matchups in this game that could determine who wins the overall matchup between the Horns and the Bucks. All right, one segment left. I promised it. We've got updates on the Texas offensive line. We'll give you the latest on Trevor Goosby, and also a very interesting nugget here. A guy who hasn't played a single snap at Texas has a chance to start for the Longhorns on the O-line. We'll tell you who it is next on Locked On Longhorns. But first, a word for our friends at Game Time. College football is back. I couldn't be more excited. We're all excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's nothing quite like college football. But let's be real, getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. The long lines, the hidden fees, the prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that brings the advantage back to the fans. This is the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with zero surprise fees. That's right. What you see is what you pay. They've got amazing deals on college football tickets all across the country all season long. It's faster, it's cheaper, and it's, most importantly, way less stressful than any other way I bought tickets in the past. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, Locked On College, that's the promo code. Download the Game Time app today. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, final segment on a Thursday edition of Locked On Longhorns. We've got the latest on Trevor Goosby. We've talked about the hand injury a couple of different times on this show, and, well, that hand injury is something, and it is lingering. And multiple sites have reported over the last 48 hours or so that Goosby had surgery on that left hand early last week. And we knew he had to miss a couple of practices. We knew he got hurt in the previous weekend scrimmage, and he had to undergo some sort of medical procedure to try to get that hand cleaned up. So that's the bad news. The good news is this week, Trevor Goosby's been practicing. He's been out there the last 3 days. On Monday, Coach Sark said that he expects to have Trevor Goosby on the field on Saturday. So it sounds like he's trending in the right direction. But if he does play, it also sounds like he's going to have a cast or a club on his hand. And, well, when you're an offensive lineman, grabbing is important. Having hand strength, having full capability to use your hand, that stuff matters a lot. So it's already a tough matchup going up against a very good defensive front. Trevor Goosby's going to be a bit shorthanded. That worries me a little bit because there are some question marks on the Texas offensive line. Trevor Goosby's one of the surest things, maybe the surest thing up there, but he's going to be playing with, again, some sort of cast or club on that left hand on game day. How good is he? Hopefully he's good enough to go and good enough to go for all 60 minutes. How effective is he? Another big question there up front. So I'm sure we'll get an update today. We'll let you know more tomorrow, but obviously a serious storyline to monitor is that health of Trevor Goosby. And then I mentioned another name to keep an eye on, Connor Stroh, 6'7", 341 pounds, going into his third year with the program. When he got to Texas, he actually weighed more than 370, so he slimmed down to a light 341. It's insane talking about a 20-year-old. Insane talking about anybody. 6'7", 341. My goodness. He has been one of the stories of the last 2 to 3 weeks of Texas training camp. I mean, he has had a great fall, and Coach Sark has raved about him time and time again, including on Monday. He spoke glowingly of Connor Stroh, I think, a couple of different times in his game week press conference. And Connor Stroh has actually been running with the ones a decent amount lately. At left guard, kind of rotating in with Neto Umeozulu, who didn't start last year for Texas, but has kind of been the projected starter throughout the entirety of the offseason. It sounds like Connor Stroh's been pushing Neto a little bit recently. Stroh's an interesting story, man. A 3-star recruit in the class of 2023, again, going into year 3 at Texas. He's from Frisco, up in the Metroplex. He has not played in a game in his first 2 years. like hasn't even appeared in a game. Forget a start. He hasn't played one single snap on a fall Saturday for the Longhorns. So I like hearing that he's practicing really well and competition breeds excellence. So he's pushing the starter there. Like that's good. You want to have a couple of guys that you feel good about, right? Depth is important, especially in the trenches. But do we really trust an offensive lineman who has not played a single collegiate snap in this spot, in this atmosphere? That worries me a little bit if Connor Stroh gets significant snaps. The good news is he's going up against a very good D-line in practice. And if he's been getting reps with the ones, then he's been going up against the best of the best that Texas has to offer on that side of the ball. But, man, that worries me a little bit. So I don't know if it's going to be Neto. I don't know if it's going to be Stroh. It sounds like it could be a rotation between both of them this weekend. Neto, I think I'd feel better about. He's also a new starter, but he's been here longer, going into his fourth year, and he has played in 10 games. Hasn't started a game as a Longhorn, but he has appeared in 10 games in his first 3 seasons on the 40 acres. So, not entirely sure what you have with either of them, but Neto at least has played in games against other teams. So that's a storyline to watch, man. The offensive line rotation. It might not just be 5 guys out there for every snap up front. Whether it's injury related in the case of Trevor Gooseby or it's production related in the case at left guard, something to monitor right there. Texas could be trying a couple of guys out there, and hey, if one guy's working, great, let him play. If one guy's not working, you try the other guy, see if he is ready for the moment. And that's the biggest question mark for me going into 2025, this Longhorn offensive line. One of your best linemen being hurt, and hearing that a guy who's never played, maybe your starter at left guard, say a prayer. Say a prayer. It could be dicey on Saturday. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. Would love to hear y'all's thoughts. Comment below. Am I overreacting? Do you feel good about Connor Stroh? Where are you at with Trevor Gooseby? What gives you the most confidence in Texas this weekend? What gives you the most hesitation in picking the Longhorns this weekend? Always love hearing from y'all. Always love y'all watching. If you've made it this far, number 1, thank you. Number 2, please remember to like, subscribe, turn those notifications on, and leave a comment. Appreciate y'all making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day. For your next listen, check out Locked On Bets with my man Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers. They've got all of the picks you need for week 1 of the college football season, including the Thursday night games coming up. Find Locked On Bets on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. More Texas Ohio State preview coming up on tomorrow's show. Do I even need to tell y'all that? You know exactly what we've got cooking this week. But that'll do it for today. Until next time, horns up, mic's off. We'll see y'all soon. This is Locked On Longhorns.